If you're over 60, there's one simple movement, something you've probably done for years that might seem harmless, even healthy, but it could silently raise your risk of a stroke overnight. No pain, no warning, no second chance. You could go to bed feeling completely fine and wake up unable to speak, lift your arm, or even recognize your loved ones. As a neurologist with over 30 years of experience treating stroke patients, I've seen it all. But the cases that haunt me most aren't caused by smoking or unhealthy diets. They're caused by something far more unexpected: everyday exercises. That's right. The very stretches, routines, and so-called senior-safe workouts you've been told will help you age well can actually do the opposite. If performed at the wrong time or in the wrong way, they can stress your blood vessels, spike your blood pressure, and trigger clot formation while you sleep. Today, I'm going to reveal 9 common exercises that may be putting your brain at serious risk, even if you feel strong, even if you think you're doing everything right. Because at this stage of life, the line between what's helpful and what's harmful is razor thin. So please, stick with me. This might be the most important health message you hear all year. It could even save your life. And before we begin, if you haven't subscribed yet, now's a good time to hit that button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next health tip made just for you. If you find this video helpful, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 so I know how to make better content for you. Let's begin. Number 1. Toe touches and forward bends. Pressure. It seems harmless, maybe even healthy. Bending forward to stretch your back or legs, touching your toes before bed, picking up a laundry basket from the floor. You've probably done these motions for decades without a second thought. But what if I told you that this simple, everyday movement, when done at the wrong time in an aging body, could silently push your brain toward a stroke? As a brain doctor who has spent years treating older adults, I've seen it happen more often than I'd like to admit. A slow, subtle drop in blood pressure while bending forward becomes the hidden spark in a dangerous chain reaction inside the brain. In younger adults, the body easily adapts to quick changes in posture, but after 60, something changes. The pressure sensors in your arteries, called baroreceptors, start to lose sensitivity. That means when you bend forward quickly, blood can drain away from your brain and your body no longer reacts fast enough to restore balance. You might feel a little lightheaded, or nothing at all. But inside, something more serious could be unfolding. Each time blood flow to the brain drops, especially during repeated forward bends or toe touches, the brain is starved of oxygen. This doesn't always lead to fainting, but it sets the stage for something far worse: thickened blood, slower circulation, and in some cases, the formation of silent clots. And when one of those tiny clots slips into a narrowed artery deep inside your brain, the result can be catastrophic: slurred speech, vision loss, balance problems, or in the most tragic cases, permanent paralysis. Let me tell you about a patient I'll never forget: Mr. Edward Millstone, 74, a retired high school history teacher from Nebraska. Active, sharp-minded, devoted to his morning stretches. Every day after waking, Edward would stand tall, bend forward, and touch his toes 5 or 6 times, just like he had since he was a boy. He told me it made him feel young. But one morning, after his usual stretch, he felt a bit dizzy. He brushed it off. Later that day, while gardening, he suddenly collapsed, and we traced it back to those toe touches. His aging vascular system couldn't handle the sudden shift in posture. The drop in pressure, the thickened blood, it was enough to form a clot and send it straight to his brain. Edward eventually learned to walk again, with a cane, but his right hand never fully recovered. He later told me, with tears in his eyes, I thought stretching was saving me, but it nearly ended me. This is the truth so many seniors never hear. It's not about avoiding movement. It's about understanding how your body changes with age. A stretch that felt great at 40 might be dangerous at 70, especially if you're on blood pressure medication or waking up dehydrated, which most older adults are. So if you need to bend down, do it slowly, breathe deeply, and whenever possible, sit in a chair to put on socks or shoes instead of bending from a standing position. And if you ever feel dizzy while doing any of these movements, stop immediately. That's not a harmless side effect. That's your brain whispering a warning. Because here's the hard truth. The most dangerous stroke isn't the one that hits like lightning. It's the one that builds quietly from one small motion repeated too fast, too often, for too long in a brain that's no longer 30. And if something as simple as a stretch can put your brain in crisis, what about those relaxing yoga poses that send blood rushing straight into your head? You won't believe what I'm about to share next. Let's talk about inverted yoga poses and how one grandmother nearly lost her eyesight and her speech overnight. If you're still with me and finding this helpful, please comment 1 below so I know you're watching. Now, let's move on to point number 2, inverted yoga poses. For many older adults, yoga has become a symbol of graceful aging, a way to stretch, breathe, and find calm in a noisy, stressful world. You've probably seen the classes at your local senior center, rows of older adults in chairs, breathing deeply, guided by a soft-voiced instructor. And for the most part, gentle yoga is a beautiful thing. But there's one category of poses that could quietly put your brain in serious danger, and most seniors are never warned. I'm talking about inverted poses, like legs up the wall, downward dog, or even simple forward folds where the head dips below the heart. These movements, while often promoted as relaxing or rejuvenating, can cause a sudden, dangerous surge of blood flow toward the brain, especially in people over 60. That surge becomes risky when it hits blood vessels that may already be stiff, inflamed, or weakened by years of high blood pressure, cholesterol, or aging. You see, the brain has a natural pressure valve system called cerebral autoregulation that keeps blood flow stable. But as we age, this system becomes less reliable. A younger person can tilt their head downward and the body adjusts. But in older adults, even a gentle inversion can cause blood to pool, pressure to spike, and oxygen flow to destabilize. And when you add in common factors like a history of hypertension, a hidden aneurysm, or medications that affect blood pressure, that simple pose becomes a setup for something catastrophic. Tiny clots can begin to form in the most delicate areas of the brain. Let me share a story I'll never forget. Mrs. Evelyn Thomas, age 74, a retired art teacher from Oregon, full of warmth, wit, and energy. Twice a week, Evelyn joined a local gentle yoga for seniors class. She loved the peaceful music, the sense of community, and how it made her feel young again. But one morning, while performing the pose where participants raised their legs against the wall with heads tilted downward, Evelyn felt a sharp pain behind her eyes. She brushed it off and finished class. That night, her daughter found her collapsed beside the bed, confused and unable to speak. At the hospital, scans revealed a small hemorrhagic stroke, a bleed in the back of the brain, often triggered by a sudden spike in cranial pressure. The culprit? Her blood pressure medication combined with that inverted pose had created the perfect storm. Vessels strained, pressure surged. A clot formed and ruptured in a place her body couldn't quickly recover from. Evelyn survived, but not without consequences. Her left side vision is permanently blurred, and she struggles to find the right words in everyday conversation. A woman once known for her creativity and clarity now relies on written notes just to get through her day. And the tragedy? It was preventable. No one ever told her that these poses, though labeled safe for seniors, weren't safe for her. Her instructor wasn't trained in geriatric care, and Evelyn like so many others, believed that gentle yoga meant harmless yoga. But age changes everything. The arteries feeding your brain aren't elastic garden hoses anymore. They're more like fragile pipes, easily clogged or ruptured with the wrong pressure at the wrong moment. And when circulation slows in a tight inverted position, the body tries to help by forming a clot. But in the wrong place, that clot becomes a time bomb. So what can you do? If you practice yoga, ask your instructor whether they're trained in working with older adults, especially those with cardiovascular or neurological conditions. Avoid any pose where your head dips significantly below your heart. Skip inversions entirely. There are safer, seated alternatives that offer the same benefits without the risk. And most importantly, listen to your body. If you ever feel dizzy, if you sense a pulsing behind your eyes, or if you experience an unusual fatigue after yoga, that's not nothing. That's your brain asking for help. Because sometimes what feels good isn't good for you, especially now. And if you think inverted yoga poses are the only hidden danger in your routine, wait until you hear what I'm about to share next. It's something even more common, as ordinary as lifting a grocery bag or carrying a laundry basket, that could spike your blood pressure in seconds, tear the lining of your blood vessels, and set off a chain reaction leading to stroke without you even knowing it. Let's talk about lifting and why it's not just about how much you carry, but how you carry it. Next up, number 3, heavy lifting. Even grocery bags can be a trigger. Yes, blood pressure spikes. There's something deeply admirable about staying strong as you age. Carrying your own groceries, lifting your grandkids, moving a box of books without asking for help. It makes you feel capable, independent, alive. But here's what most older adults don't realize. Even these small, everyday acts of lifting, especially if you hold your breath or strain too hard, can send your blood pressure soaring in seconds. And inside your body, that sudden surge creates the perfect storm for a stroke. You don't need to lift a barbell at the gym to be in danger. I've seen strokes triggered by something as ordinary as moving a garden hose, lifting a heavy purse, or helping a neighbor carry laundry. The problem isn't just the weight. It's the internal pressure you create when you lift. There's a term for it, the Valsalva maneuver. It happens when you unconsciously hold your breath while straining, and it causes a rapid, dangerous spike in blood pressure. Pressure builds in the chest and in the brain. Circulation gets disrupted, arteries are pushed to their limits, and if you're over 60, those arteries might already be narrowed, hardened, or weakened by decades of high blood pressure, diabetes, or silent plaque buildup. That one moment of effort could crack a fragile vessel wall or dislodge a hidden clot that races to your brain. And when that happens, the damage can be instant and irreversible. Let me tell you about someone I treated. Mr. George Pickett, age 82, a retired firefighter from Ohio. Strong, proud, fiercely independent. He believed in staying active. He insisted on helping his wife unload the car, every time. One afternoon, he lifted a box of canned goods. Nothing unusual. But this time, something went wrong. Halfway through the lift, George paused, clutched his head, collapsed. By the time he reached the ER, he couldn't move the right side of his body, and his speech was slurred and barely audible. The scan showed an ischemic stroke, caused by a clot lodged in the middle cerebral artery, one of the brain's most vital blood highways. His blood pressure had surged during that lift, and the strain dislodged years' worth of silent plaque buildup. That one moment of strength, so natural, so routine, became the moment that changed his life forever. George survived, but now relies on a walker. His mind is still sharp, but his speech is slow and labored. And this is the quiet danger no one talks about. You're told to stay strong, to keep moving, but no one tells you how easily strength can turn into strain, or how small movements can carry big risks. You don't have the same safety buffer you once had. Every breath, every lift, every bit of pressure on your arteries matters now more than ever. So if you find yourself lifting and holding your breath, stop. That's your warning. If you feel dizzy, lightheaded, or tight across your chest or neck afterward, don't ignore it. That's not just fatigue. That could be a stroke forming in real time. Lift smaller loads. Ask for help. Use tools, carts, leverage. You don't lose your independence by being careful. You protect it. And remember, a stroke doesn't always announce itself with pain. Sometimes it's silent until it steals your words, your balance, or your future. But if lifting a simple box can threaten your brain, what happens when your own body betrays you, just from standing up too quickly? Coming up next, we'll talk about a common exercise done in senior homes across the country that can quietly deprive your brain of oxygen in seconds. And the scariest part, you've probably done it today without realizing it. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, please comment 1 below to let me know you're here. Now let's continue with point number 4. 4. Standing up too fast, a simple move with serious risks. It's one of the most ordinary movements we make every single day, standing up from a chair, after reading the newspaper, after dinner, when the phone rings. We do it dozens of times without thinking. In fact, for seniors, this motion is often encouraged. Practice getting up and down without using your hands, they say. It helps with balance and independence. But here's what no one tells you. Standing up too quickly, especially without support, can silently trigger the very stroke you're trying to avoid. Why? Because the moment you rise, gravity pulls your blood downward, away from your brain and toward your legs. In a younger body, that's no problem. The nervous system reacts instantly, tightening vessels, raising heart rate, and restoring blood flow to the brain within seconds. But after 60, that automatic response slows down. Sometimes it doesn't kick in at all. And if you're dealing with high blood pressure, diabetes, mild dehydration, or taking medications like beta blockers or diuretics, the risk climbs even higher. When you stand up suddenly, your brain might not get enough blood fast enough. The result? A dangerous dip in oxygen. And if your arteries are already narrowed or inflamed, that drop in pressure can help form clots that silently travel and lodge themselves in fragile blood vessels deep in the brain. You don't have to faint for this to happen. You might just feel a little off, lightheaded, unsteady. But in that tiny window, a stroke may already be forming. Let me share a story I'll never forget. Mrs. Carol Jensen, age 79, a retired school principal from Arizona. Sharp, strong-willed, and committed to staying healthy. She'd been following her physical therapist's advice, doing repeated sit-to-stand exercises in her kitchen, rising from the chair without using her hands. Great for balance, she heard, and she was proud of it. One morning, she did 5 quick repetitions while her husband made coffee. She stood up fast, reached for the counter, then froze. "I feel strange," she said. Seconds later, her right side went limp. Her speech slurred. At the hospital, imaging revealed a left-sided ischemic stroke, a clot blocking blood flow to the area of her brain responsible for movement and speech. Her labs showed early signs of vascular inflammation and dehydration, common but often overlooked in the morning. She had no idea that a movement meant to strengthen her had instead triggered the most terrifying moment of her life. Today, Carol walks with a cane. Her mind is still bright, but speech and memory remain a struggle, all because she stood up too quickly. And unfortunately, this isn't rare. Across emergency rooms in the country, we see cases like this every week, not caused by trauma, not caused by junk food or sedentary habits, but by well-meaning exercises done too quickly without adjusting for the body's current reality. You see, aging changes how blood vessels react, how quickly the brain adjusts pressure, and how fragile your oxygen supply becomes. The body you had at 40 is not the body you have now, and that's not failure, it's biology. But pretending otherwise, that's the danger. So here's what I want you to remember. Never stand without support. Use the arms of the chair. Pause for a breath after standing. Let your brain catch up before you walk. And if you feel dizzy, even for a moment after rising, don't brush it off. That's not just aging. That's your brain sending you a warning. Because in this stage of life, speed can be your enemy. And rushing from one position to another could cost you your clarity, your balance, even your ability to say your own name. But what if I told you that even walking, yes, the most trusted doctor-recommended activity for seniors, could also turn dangerous under the wrong conditions? Coming up next, we'll talk about how a simple walk in warm weather can quietly dehydrate your brain, thicken your blood, and leave your body vulnerable to a stroke before sunrise. Number 5, walking in heat or humidity. 5, dehydration, blood thickening, and the hidden danger of a simple walk. There's something deeply soothing about a daily walk. For many older adults, it's a cherished ritual. A stroll after breakfast to hear the birds, a gentle afternoon loop to stretch the legs and clear the mind. Doctors recommend it. Wellness programs encourage it. And truthfully, walking is one of the best exercises for heart and brain health. But as with so many things in later life, context changes everything. And one of the most dangerous mistakes I see among my older patients is this: walking in hot or humid conditions without enough water or awareness. On the surface, it seems harmless. You step outside on a warm summer morning. The sun feels soft. The breeze is light. But what your body feels and what your brain needs may be two very different things, especially after age 60. Here's why. As we age, our thirst response weakens. We don't feel thirsty until we're already dehydrated. And if you take medications like diuretics or blood pressure pills, or live with conditions like heart failure or diabetes, your body's ability to balance fluid levels becomes even more compromised. So what happens? You go for your walk, you sweat, even just a little, but you don't replace the fluid. Your blood volume shrinks, circulation slows, and what was once smooth flowing blood becomes thicker, heavier, more concentrated. In medicine, we call this hemoconcentration, and for an aging body with narrowed or hardened arteries, this is where the danger begins. Sticky blood, tense vessels, and in the worst cases, clots, formed in the arteries that feed your brain. Let me share a story that still stays with me. Mr. Harold Dunn, age 84, a retired postal worker from Kentucky, disciplined, proud, devoted to his daily routine. Every day after lunch, Harold took a long walk through his neighborhood. It made him feel sharp, strong, alive. But one July, the heat rose. Humidity thickened. Still, Harold didn't change anything. "I'm used to it," he told his wife. The next morning, Harold woke up confused, tried to stand and collapsed. At the hospital, his speech was slurred. His right arm wouldn't move. Scans showed a left-sided ischemic stroke. A clot had blocked blood flow to the speech and motor centers of his brain. His blood work told the rest of the story. Dehydration, elevated hemoglobin, thickened blood, no electrolytes, no water replenishment. And he'd taken a water pill the day before. That innocent summer walk, the one he believed was making him healthier, had quietly created the perfect storm. Harold survived, but he no longer walks alone. And to this day, he asks me, why didn't anyone tell me a walk could be dangerous? And I tell him what I'm telling you now. It's not the walk that hurts you. It's the hidden changes happening inside your aging body. So please, if you're walking in warm or humid weather, take precautions. Drink water before and after your walk. Add a pinch of salt or sip coconut water to maintain electrolytes. Avoid walking during peak heat or extreme humidity. And if you feel tired, dizzy, lightheaded, or dry-mouthed afterward, don't ignore it. That's not just aging. That's your blood and your brain sending a warning. Because here's the hard truth. You can finish a walk feeling proud and go to bed that night with no sign of trouble, only to wake up unable to speak, unable to move, unable to recognize the faces you love most. That's how quietly a stroke can strike when we don't listen to our body's softest signals. And if something as wholesome as a summer walk can lead to a life-altering event, just imagine what could happen from a motion we all do without thinking. A motion as simple as rolling your neck or stretching your spine that, under the wrong conditions, could tear open the arteries feeding your brain. Coming up next, point 6, neck circles and jerky neck movements. Why a gentle stretch could turn deadly and what you must avoid starting today. 6. Neck rotations, the hidden risk of an artery tear. It's one of the most common stretches recommended to seniors. Loosen up your neck, they say. So you tilt your head side to side, maybe draw gentle circles with your chin. It feels relaxing, harmless, even helpful, especially after waking up stiff or sitting too long. But here's what no one warns you, and what I've seen too many times in my years as a doctor. That simple, soothing neck roll could be the exact movement that triggers a life-changing stroke. The danger lies in one of your body's most fragile blood vessels, the vertebral arteries. These delicate arteries run deep inside your neck, weaving through the spinal bones to supply blood to the back of your brain, the area that controls balance, coordination, and even consciousness. They're not built for stretching, and certainly not for twisting. Yet every time you roll your neck in a full circle, especially with speed or force, you're pulling on those arteries like taffy. And in someone over 60, even one bad stretch can be enough to tear the inner wall of the artery. It's called a dissection, a tiny rip that your body tries to repair immediately. But that healing response, it comes with a dangerous catch. A clot forms at the tear site, and if that clot breaks loose, it can travel straight into your brainstem, triggering a posterior circulation stroke, one of the hardest to detect and one of the most devastating. I'll never forget my patient, Mr. Dennis Lyle, age 72, a retired band director from Michigan, gentle, cheerful, active in his church choir. Dennis had read in a senior wellness magazine that neck rolls could improve posture and prevent stiffness. So every morning, after brushing his teeth, he'd rotate his neck, slowly, carefully, clockwise, then counterclockwise, until one morning, midway through the second circle, He felt a sharp pain behind his ear, then dizziness, then collapse. By the time paramedics arrived, Dennis couldn't speak clearly. He'd lost coordination. He vomited twice on the way to the hospital. Scans confirmed what I feared: a dissection of the left vertebral artery. The clot had broken free and lodged near his cerebellum, the balance center of the brain. Today, Dennis is in a wheelchair. He still plays piano, but slowly, with effort. And he tells me, with tears in his eyes, "I never thought something so gentle could ruin my life." That's the risk. There's no loud warning. You might feel a pop, a wave of nausea, maybe a moment of dizziness, but by then the damage is already done. As we age, our blood vessels become less elastic, and medications like blood thinners, statins, or steroids can make those artery walls even more fragile. What you could do at 40 without thinking can become dangerous at 70. So here's what I need every senior to hear. Stop doing full neck circles. Avoid fast, jerky twists. Don't stretch your neck to its limits. Instead, gently turn your head side to side, within a comfortable, natural range. Always move slowly. Always be supported. And if you ever feel dizzy, lightheaded, or hear a sudden click or snap, stop immediately and seek help. Your neck is not just a hinge, it's a lifeline, a fragile, vital bridge that delivers blood to your brain. Protect it like your life depends on it, because it truly does. And if something as mild as a neck stretch can silently tear open a brain artery, imagine what happens when you push your cardiovascular system to the limit with short bursts of intense effort. Coming up next, point 7, high-intensity interval training. It's the latest trend in senior fitness, but could it be doing more harm than good? If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're with me. Let's keep going. 7. High-intensity interval training, a hidden risk for aging arteries. There's a new trend sweeping through senior fitness centers, YouTube channels, and even Medicare-backed wellness programs. It's called high-intensity interval training, or HIIT, and it's being sold as a miracle fix. Quick bursts of movement, short rest periods, and bold promises. Burn fat, boost heart health, keep your metabolism young. But here's what the flashy marketing won't tell you. For adults over 60, and especially if you have high blood pressure, diabetes, or years of wear on your heart, this kind of rapid-fire training becomes a dangerous gamble. Here's why. Every burst of high-intensity movement causes your heart rate to spike. Your blood pressure surges. Your arteries, many of them already stiffened or narrowed by age, are forced to expand and contract in seconds. In younger people, the vascular system can handle this stress. But in older adults, those sudden fluctuations can damage the fragile inner lining of your blood vessels, the very layer responsible for smooth, regulated circulation. And when that lining becomes irritated or overstretched, it triggers your body's emergency response, a blood clot. The clot forms silently, trying to repair the injury. But if that clot breaks loose and travels to the brain, the result can be life-altering. Let me tell you about one of my patients, Mr. Donald Whitaker, 74, a retired steelworker from Pittsburgh. He had a strong will, a big heart, and a determination to stay young and active. His daughter bought him a senior-friendly HIIT DVD. He followed it religiously. Every morning, step touches, arm lifts, even modified burpees. It felt intense but manageable, until one day it wasn't. After a 20-minute session, Donald went to make coffee. Moments later, he felt dizzy. His coffee cup slipped from his hands. He collapsed against the counter. At the hospital, the scan showed an ischemic stroke on the left side of his brain. A clot had blocked a major artery. His carotid artery, the main vessel feeding the brain, had likely released that clot during a pressure surge from his workout. His heart meant well, his effort was real, but his body simply couldn't handle the strain anymore. Donald survived, but today he lives in assisted care. He's working through speech therapy, he has memory gaps, and he still says to me, "Doc, I thought I was doing what was right. I was just trying to stay young."
That's the painful part. He was trying to do the right thing, but no one told him his cardiovascular system had changed. This is what I need you to understand. Aging doesn't mean you're weak. It means your body has a new reality. Your blood vessels are no longer rubber bands. They're more like fine wires under pressure. They don't need shock. They need stability. Your brain doesn't want bursts and crashes. It needs steady oxygen, consistent flow, and gentle strength. If you've been doing HIIT and noticed dizziness, shortness of breath, or deep fatigue, don't push through it. That's not progress. That's your warning. Instead, choose movement that nourishes your body, not shocks it. Walk at a steady pace. Try resistance bands, tai chi, or slow-flowing exercises that protect your heart and calm your brain. Because in this stage of life, power comes from control. Health comes from consistency. And intensity, no matter how trendy, is not your friend. It's your risk. And if exercise can push your arteries to the edge, what about something as basic as stretching, done at the wrong time? Coming up next, point 8, stretching before warming up, a common habit that could silently shock your vessels and set the stage for a stroke. If you're still watching and learning from this, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're here. Let's keep going, because what you learn next could save your life. 8. Stretching before warming up, a hidden risk for aging arteries. We've been told our entire lives stretching is good. It keeps us flexible, improves circulation, and prevents injury. So it's no surprise that many older adults begin their mornings or prepare for walks and golf games with a few long stretches, arms overhead, calves pressed against the wall, reaching for the toes. It looks peaceful, feels responsible. But here's the truth no one ever warned you about. In an aging body, stretching before warming up can quietly trigger a cascade that ends in a stroke. Let me explain what happens underneath the surface. When you first wake up or sit still for a long time, your muscles are cold, circulation is slower, blood vessels are more constricted. Your heart is beating gently, focused on your core, not your limbs. In that state, if you suddenly force a stretch, say a long hamstring pull or overhead reach, you're not just tugging on muscle, you're forcing stiffened arteries to expand before they're ready. In younger bodies, this demand isn't a big deal, but after 60, with vessels that may be narrowed, calcified, or inflamed, this sudden pull can shock the vascular system. The result? Your arteries constrict reflexively in defense. Blood pressure drops in one area and spikes in another. Circulation becomes uneven, even turbulent. And in this chaos, tiny clots can form, especially along fragile vessel linings. And when those clots travel, they often go straight to the brain. Let me share the story of Mrs. Eileen Granger, 78, a retired piano teacher from Colorado. One quiet morning, before her daily neighborhood walk, she followed a gentle senior stretch video online. It looked easy, safe. She did a long forward bend, a quad stretch, some shoulder rolls. But she hadn't warmed up yet. She hadn't walked around or even sipped water. She said, "I thought I was being good." Halfway through her walk, she began to feel lightheaded. Her steps grew unsteady. A neighbor noticed her slurring words. By the time she got to the ER, scans revealed a small ischemic stroke in the left parietal lobe of her brain. Her blood work showed signs of early dehydration and vascular stress. And based on the timing, we traced it to that stretching session, done before her body was ready. Today, Eileen walks with a cane. Her memory has returned slowly, but she no longer walks alone.
Her stroke didn't come from laziness or bad habits. It came from a well-meaning routine done in the wrong order. That's what I want you to remember. Never stretch a cold body. Don't begin your day or any exercise with static stretches. Instead, give your body a chance to wake up. Walk around your house for 5 to 10 minutes. Swing your arms. Take deep breaths. Let your joints loosen naturally. Let circulation catch up to your intention. Stretching is still important, but timing is everything. Because when you stretch, you're not just moving muscle, you're also stretching arteries, veins, and the fragile linings that feed your brain. If those vessels tear, clot, or collapse under pressure, you may not even feel it until you suddenly lose your words, your balance, or your independence. And if a simple stretch can cause that kind of harm, what happens when your balance fails completely and you fall without warning? Coming up next, we'll explore point 9, how balance training without proper support may leave you one misstep away from a stroke or traumatic brain injury. If you're still watching and learning something new, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're with me. Let's keep going. Your health depends on it. Final reflection. The truth about movement, aging, and protecting your brain. If you've made it this far, I want to see something important, something real. You care. You care about your health, your future, and the people who love you. That kind of care isn't weakness. It's strength. The kind of strength that comes from wisdom, earned not in gyms, but in life. We've walked through 9 everyday exercises, movements you likely believed were helping you. And in many ways, they can be. But when done without the right context, without awareness of how your body has changed with time, they can quietly put your brain at risk. The truth is, aging changes everything. Your blood vessels are no longer as elastic. Your heart doesn't respond as quickly. Your brain, once resilient to shifts in pressure, hydration, and oxygen, is now more sensitive, more vulnerable. What once felt safe at 40 can quietly create the perfect conditions for a stroke at 70. I've seen it too many times. Patients who were active, mindful, and well-meaning, suddenly unable to speak, to walk, or to remember the names of those they love. And their heartbreak, the words I hear most, are, "I didn't know. I thought I was doing the right thing." And that's why I'm here. Not to scare you, but to show you what's been hidden. Because knowledge, not fear, is what protects you now. So what can you do? How do you keep moving, keep living without inviting danger? Let's talk about what safe, smart movement looks like after 60. 1. Always warm up first. Before stretching, before lifting, even before walking, get your body moving gently. March in place, swing your arms, take deep breaths. Let your joints loosen naturally. Let circulation catch up to your intention. 2. Use support without apology. Hold on to a wall, a chair, a rail. Balance exercises should never risk a fall. Support isn't weakness, it's wisdom. 3. Choose steady over intense. Tai Chi, water aerobics, gentle resistance bands, rhythmic walks. Your brain and heart thrive on consistency, not spikes. 4. Hydrate early, not just afterward. Drink water before you move. Dehydration thickens your blood and stresses your brain. A pinch of salt or a sip of coconut water can help too. 5. Breathe with your movement. Never hold your breath while lifting or straining. Inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. Oxygen is your ally. 6. Save deep stretches for after. Stretch once your muscles are warm. Pre-exercise stretching on cold muscles can shock aging arteries. 7. Listen to subtle signals. Dizziness, pressure in your head or chest, nausea, or sudden fatigue aren't just aging. They're your brain asking for help. 8. Move in the morning. Your circulation is more responsive earlier in the day. Late-night workouts increase risk. Aim for morning or midday routines. 9. Personalize your plan. Your history, medications, and vascular health are unique. Work with your doctor. What's right for one person may not be right for you. Here's what I want you to remember most. You are not fragile, but you are different, and your movement should reflect that. This chapter of life isn't about loss. It's about precision, about honoring your body and protecting what matters most, your independence, your clarity, your voice. Because a single small movement done in the wrong time or without support can undo years of strength. But the right movement, chosen wisely, done safely, can give you more years, more clarity, more freedom. So as you take your next walk, stretch, or breath, take this with you. It's not just how you move, it's how you protect the brain that lets you move at all. Make every step count, not just towards fitness, but towards freedom. Now I'd love to hear from you. What part of this journey spoke to you the most? What's one change you're ready to make today to protect your brain and your future? Let's walk this wiser path together, because your brain deserves it, and you deserve it. If you found this video valuable, comment number 1 below. If not, feel free to comment number 0. Your feedback helps guide what we do next. And if you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe for more content designed to support your health, your clarity, and your independence. Thank you for watching, and here's to living life on your terms.